second time that someone's brought me a deal and it's been bad title.
Hmm.
This one was a fraudulent deed. And I'm just
Wow.
like, are people this fucking irresponsible, bro, with buying houses nowadays? Like, this is ridiculous, bro. Bro, like this is this is crazy. This is crazy. And I'm
So
trying
did
to
they
think, is
buy
there
the
really a
house and
way?
somebody gave them like a fake title, or what was the story?
I think so. That's what title said. My buyer just called me.
Wow.
I'm like, all right, good news or bad news? He says, good news is the sun is up, but the bad news is we're not gonna be able to close. I'm like, I guess. I mean, he was saying, yeah, fraudulent deed is what he just told me. He said the title company's gonna reach out to me here, but he says fraudulent deed. So, um, yeah.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. How are you, John?
Feeling fantastic. Blessed and highly favored, brother. How are you doing today?
Phenomenal. It's a beautiful Monday. Can't be doing any better. Hanging out with my buddies, John, Savion, AB, Simon, Elijah, everybody. Kishore, Yolanda. Good morning, all.
Morning, Bob. Hey,
How you
Bob,
doing,
could
brother?
you let me ask you this, Bob? Do you know like the like fraudulent deed or yeah, fraudulent deeds? Like what causes that?
Fraudulent deeds. Okay, explain what you mean by fraudulent deeds. Are you talking about you um, put property under contract, opened escrow, title found some fraud stuff
Yeah,
in the deed?
basically. Yep. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I like about you, Savion? You don't waste a minute of time. You just go right at it. I love it. Okay, so if they find fraudulent deeds, they got to find out. They got to title has to clear that up. Okay.
So does that mean like it was like a fake title then or something when they
It's
were
possible. I mean, anything's possible. Fraudulent deeds normally happens. Unfortunately, it happens mostly with people that you know. So it's relatives, it's spouses, it's kids, family members doing it to one another. So they pretend like they're the owners of the property. They sell the property to someone, and when the deed goes, and it could be that they didn't pull title, they just did it out of escrow and what have you, and then when the guy goes to record his deed, he finds out that it's not proper. So there are a lot of different ways
oh
that it
my
can be done.
goodness. So
Yeah.
frustrating. I've had like 3 deals in the past month and a half that have fell through because incorrect recorded deeds and all
Mm,
this bull crap. And it's like, wow, people are just not responsible.
no, no, of course not. When it comes to money, they're very pathetic, unfortunately.
I'm gonna have to figure out, is there a way I can get around that? Because I can't keep having all my effing deals fall through because of bad title. This is the third time in the past month and a half of incorrect deeds, and it's starting to piss me off.
Okay, so first thing I always do is when I'm talking to whoever that says they're the seller, is I
Right,
look them up. I look them up on PropStream, okay, or PropWire, to see am I talking to the right person even or not. Okay.
right.
Um, I had this guy who came up. The owner on record was his name was Eddie, and his last name started with a D. I can't remember what it was. Um, and the guy said, "Yeah, my name is Eddie." I'm like, "Oh, okay. And by the way, what's your last name?" And he said Salazar or something like that. I'm like, "Dude, you're not the owner." Okay, so you got to weed them out. So then all you do is just basically tell them, "Oh, okay. I don't see you on record. So what relationship do you have to the owner of the property?" And then he kept on backpedaling and pretty much hung up after a couple of minutes of me grilling him. So you just
Okay.
have to make sure that you're talking to the right people up front immediately. Okay. And then the rest is really up to title, making sure that you're working with a good title company and that they can pull this shit out. Okay. So that's the challenge that you're going to have. But,
Yeah, man, because you put in all this work, right? Like you
yeah,
put in all
yeah.
this work, doing all the 4 pillars, qualifying these leads, closing these leads, and then you get to the finish line when you've done everything right you're supposed to freaking do.
Yep.
And just because of that, your deal falls through and you're not going to get paid. And it's starting to piss me off because I have no control over that.
One quick tip off normally is when they agree to your deal quickly. Okay. Or they're asking lower than what you think they should be asking for. So if a house's ARV, let's say, is 200K, and you want to buy it at 90, and they're at right around 80 or 90, okay,
Right.
or they say something like, "Oh, I'll take 50 for it," there's something wrong. Okay, no one in their right mind is going to try to get rid of their property, okay, at a lower price than they need to. Okay, unless if there's either fraud or something desperately wrong with them or with the house. So you need to dig in even more at that point.
Right. Well, hopefully this next that closes 15th. Hopefully title is good on that one. Honestly, man, because that one I figure is gonna be good on title because and negotiating to get that.
You keep cutting out, Savion, or is it on my part? Do you guys hear him well, John?
Savion is cutting out. But a couple things, because I think Savion said that this was a JV. The first thing is I'm going to learn from this because him going through this experience put something in my mind is like, okay, well, Savion just experienced this. How is it that I can make sure that I don't go through the same thing Savion's going through right now? So moving forward, anytime somebody wants to do a JV with me, I need them to send me the unredacted original contract. I need to know
Absolutely.
all of the information because I don't even know if the seller that said they were the seller was the right person. I don't know. And this is a question for Savion to say, who signed this document to begin with? So
that's one of the first things we always ask for.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to the acquisition wholesaler and ask him because he's like kind of pissed off and upset as well. And I'm gonna just hop on the phone after this and clarify that because this just can't keep happening to me. Like this can't keep happening.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't aware that this was a JV agreement that was brought to you. So, yeah, if that's the case,
it's a second JV from the same guy.
Okay, that's fine, and that's good because that means that they're building a relationship with you. That's fine. Okay.
But both deals have been the same kind of result. So
Yeah, there are
I
normally
definitely look
4 things we always ask for when we're doing a JV with anybody. Okay, if we're on the dispo side of it. So first thing is we ask for the purchase contract, like John said, unredacted. I need to see it. Okay. Second thing we ask for is pictures. Third thing is if escrow and title have been opened. If they have, we need to be connected to them. And the fourth thing escapes my mind right now, but it's very good too. I just can't remember right now. But yeah, you always want to ask for the purchase agreement right away.
right.
Did you
Okay.
did you see on the agreement, Savion, if the person that said they were selling this property was the same as like PropStream has under owner info?
Yeah, that's what
You
I'm
know
saying.
what? On some to be honest, I never checked. I feel like they already had their shit together, but now I
Right.
know I'm gonna check now.
And
Yeah.
Savion, this is the same kind of stuff we were talking about. Like for instance, whenever we lock up a property now, we want to make sure that we have access to communication with the tenants, like direct communication with the tenants, because we don't want to wait on the seller to relay some information and it doesn't get relayed. Like these are all different procedures that we can implement into our business to make sure that moving forward in the future, we don't find ourselves in the same situations again.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. That's new lesson learned. New lesson learned. I've always like made sure when I'm doing my own qualifying on the phone with people, like I'm talking to the actual seller. But when I'm JVing, I don't know if these people are actually talking the right people. It's just like I figure if you already got your shit together on your side, you come to me. I already know what to do. I'll take it from there, and then. But it's all good. I'm just gonna get back on the phone, keep calling. Ain't gonna stop me. I'll get another deal. But it's just very
Absolutely.
frustrating because that deal was gonna break my all time high for the month, and I'm
Ooh,
very very upset that that deal didn't close. So
you mean for September or
for
October?
October,
Nice. Nice.
But it's okay. I'll get another one. So I appreciate it.
You got it, brother. You know where to come if you got more questions. Because the man, the myth, the legend himself is here now. Mr. Rinse and
Mr. Matt.
Repeat.
As you can see, I'm in a new part of the house. I'm just being shuffled around like a hot potato up here.
Hey, are all the rooms white color?
Yeah, we're all white here. We had a little power outage that we're dealing with. The garage went dead. I'm running extension cords everywhere. Just I went to go turn on my computer this morning to get on Discord, and I was like, "Why isn't it turning on? Why is it?" And I went to go flick all the switches, nothing was turning on. I was like, "This is absolutely insane." Oh, now we're set up in the bonus room. We're all good.
Cool. Let me
You guys
give
are already
you.
talking business, huh?
Yeah, Savion doesn't waste time. He just comes
No
right at
wasted
you.
time. John, are you in
Uh,
heaven right now?
Yeah,
I didn't even get a sip of coffee.
You're
Little
just
something like that, man. Something like that.
the sunshine is hitting over there.
John's
you,
being slowly convinced that the United States isn't that bad. It's not that bad in the penthouse, is it, John?
Yeah,
No, it's very nice. It's very nice.
glows a little bit differently up there, huh?
Yeah, it makes me realize how blessed I am.
How easy perspectives can change, huh? Just takes a little bit of elevation sometimes. Takes a little
we
bit
have
of
we have relatives that come over, and I distinctly remember this. I was I think I was a freshman in college, and my cousin came over from the old country, and she's very smart, very bright. She got accepted to a UC school here, to the same school that I went to. And when I picked her up from the airport, as we were chatting away, I asked her, "So, what's your plan?" She's like, "Yeah, I came here to get my doctor's degree and go back to serve my country. That's all I'm gonna do is just go back, just go back." That's all she kept on saying. And I just looked at her and I kind of smirked and I said, "We'll see." 33 years later, she's still here and she's like, "Oh my God, I would never step into that country again." I'm like, yeah, perspective.
John's gonna be the poster
Things
child
change.
of that.
Yeah.
You think so?
I too once thought I would go back.
Some big profound John quote.
Oh yeah, John's.
Come
I
in
heard
on our
John's renting out
TikTok reel.
billboards in Miami
That's
to
smart.
tell everybody I'm that. To tell everybody I'm that guy.
I'm that guy.
The way Matt puts these ideas into my head is so.
It's a little dangerous. Because usually I can just throw things out and somebody would just be like, "Oh, okay," but John's like, "That's actually a good idea. That's a good idea," and I'm like, "Oh, the motor has started."
I'd love to see reirev.com on a billboard for sure, because people would definitely remember it. Especially, we've got a great logo, and it's such a short website name. So you hear reirev.com. Can you really forget that website? It's not very long, and it's real estate related. REI Real Estate Investing, REV Revolution.com.
How'd
So
come
you
up
already
with
got that.
name?
Nice. Okay.
You were
God
just
sent
sitting
it to
around one
me.
day.
God sent it to me. He said, John,
You were just a vessel, huh?
I was just a vessel, man. I swear. I was just a vessel. I prayed on it. I said, God, let me be a light to the world. Please transform my life in a magnificent and impactful way. And God got to work.
Got to work.
Just for John.
Not just for me, for everyone here. This isn't I hope it's not just a blessing for me. I hope that everybody sees this opportunity as a blessing to be in proximity with each other, because there was nowhere to be in proximity with people that were actively doing real estate every single day when I got started. And that's why it took me so long to get to my first deal. It took me 9 months of driving for dollars, making the Excel spreadsheet and cold calling numbers off that spreadsheet using Google Voice line by line. It took me 9 months. Didn't have any idea about dialers, systems, processes, anything in my business. And I didn't have anybody I could talk to about this kind of stuff because there was no coffee with closers, there was no morning live show, there was no revolution. And since then, I've been able to close multiple deals. I've been able to JV with multiple people in the community. I've closed on deals. I've put money in other people's pockets. Other people have put money in my pockets. It's insane the type of opportunity that we are presented with here each and every single day. And I'm beyond blessed, beyond grateful to be in proximity with all of you, sincerely.
Well, we're
Preach.
lucky to have, had you be encouraged and be motivated enough to create such a community. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, motivation is not his issue.
Yeah, no.
Motivation is not. I do love that when you just brought up your first deal. That is that first deal. You have that photo. It was like a burnt house or something, right?
Oh, you seen that one too, huh?
Yeah. It was like wintertime. Like you were wearing that big jacket and you were out
Oh, that
like
one.
at some, right?
Yeah, I had a couple. I had a couple of distressed properties. I should probably that gave me a good idea, Matt. I should probably go through and make those like the main photos on my IG. But there
Yeah.
was the first property that I ever stepped foot at. Wow, that's a crazy story too. I remember I was driving for dollars, and I was just driving down one of these back roads in Albany, Maryland. And my only intention behind driving was just like, can I find some houses I can add to my list? I was using the app Deal Machine, code REI Rev if you don't already use it. And I was driving down this neighborhood, and it's like the back roads. I saw this real beat up house. Like Brent Daniels told me, look for ugly houses, big checks. And that's what I saw. I saw this condemned house, and I didn't even know what it meant for a house to be condemned at the time. But what I did was I pulled into the lot, and I saw that there was a neighbor in their backyard, and this house had a huge backyard. There was nobody home. Obviously, this house was like filled with like weird dolls and just junk in the mirror, in the windows. It was crazy. Like it was like a ghost house. And I saw a neighbor in their backyard. And so what I did, I had a moment where I was at the crossroads, and I had to really have courage to go and embody this investor. And that's exactly what I did. I decided, okay, I'm going to go talk to the neighbor and see, do they have any information about this property? And that's exactly what I did. I walked over, I introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm interested in buying this house. I was just wondering if maybe you knew who owned it. They were pleased to have a conversation with me. They told me what they knew, and they didn't know much. But that was what really changed it all, was that moment where I was like, I am an investor. I am an investor. This is what I do. I have these types of conversations with people. And taking that leap of faith and stepping into that role for that first time, I remember that was the day that really changed everything for me. That was the day where this was no longer a goal, this was no longer a dream, but this was my reality. This is what I do. And so
No more imposter syndrome.
That is the truth. It is imposter syndrome, and the way to get over the imposter syndrome is to become the person that really isn't an imposter. There are a lot of people online that will try to sell you on a course because they're not doing this business. Those people are imposters. Those people that get online and pose and say that they're doing stuff that they are not doing are imposters. You don't have to be one of those people. You can be the person to say, hey, I'm going to try, I'm going to start my business from ground zero, and I'm going to build and scale, because you're in proximity with the right people. Everybody in here that shows up on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, we're all on the same mission. We really want to do this business for real. We don't want to be imposters. We want to be the real deal.
So you mean to tell me that Kelso, It's Geo, Polo, Ahmed Abdo, the real MKT, Zan, I know Zan is, Yolanda, Kishore, Prolific Ev, Amanda, Dan the Man, Fazio, Supreme John, all these people are in here because they have the same type of mindset? And they want the same success?
Absolutely. That's why we show up every single day.
Mm.
We're not here to show up and see what's up and leave. We're here to show up every single day. We're here to call every single day. We're here to take one step forward every single day. And it might be a small step forward, but it is a step forward, and you're lapping everyone who hasn't even gotten started.
Love it. Devin Hunt, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Excellent.
Good morning, good
What you
morning.
got going this week?
Good. I'm fixing to get back on the cold calling with my driving the dollar leads I got this past weekend. But I'm wanting to start pulling lists from the county. And I know that there can be a lot of objectives when you're going up to the courthouse or the code enforcement office, and trying to get these lists because I went to the utilities department, and they were telling me that they don't even have a water shutoff list. And so I'm kind of curious what I need to do once I get there and I get objections like that.
You keep trying.
Yeah. Okay.
Either they don't know, or they're just, they don't care. They don't want to help. They're too busy. You just try someone else. You ask for their
What
manager.
county is it?
This is Gregg County in Longview, Texas.
In Texas?
Is that a big county or no?
Yeah, Gregg is pretty big. It's got like three towns in it, 4 towns in it. I guess, and Longview's like the main city in Gregg.
3 or 4. I only ask just because not every county is created equal as well. So like where I'm from, Cook County is the second largest county, I think I said before, in the country, just next to LA County with 10.5 million people. So like they have a complete robust system. You can go online, you can pull, like you can request, like, and then you get into like the smaller counties. Especially like I imagine like down here in the South, like you get into some of these smaller counties, they just don't have any of like the technology. They don't have any of those resources available to them. So when you say 3 or 4 towns in an entire county, it strikes me as probably a smaller county. So they might not have like a necessary. I'm sure they have a water shutoff list, of course.
Right.
But maybe it's a maybe they have it in a different way. Like it could just be like, I imagine like a small county, even like writing it down almost, like that's how small.
Wow. Okay.
There's towns out. I mean, like I said, Cook County, Illinois is a huge county, but then there's like surrounding counties that are very, very small, where it's literally 2 ladies in an office for the entire county, and they're literally doing things like where I had my 3-unit building. It was a city inside of Cook County, but that city was only like a population of 2,000 or less. I mean, it was a really small, maybe even smaller than 2,000. And it was just 2 ladies, one for the water department, one for like code enforcement. And it was just legit pen and paper. You'd have to go in there for everything. So sometimes it's just that as well.
Right. Okay.
If that's a representation of like that county that you're referring to. Now, if it's a large like Dallas County or whatever, then obviously that's different. But if it's a smaller, especially in Texas and some of these southern states, might be just they just might be behind the times.
No, that's fair. And so there's a county next door that is about not necessarily like so small where they're doing pen and paper, but they're not very advanced because Gregg 125,000 people, but like Harrison County is next door. I don't think they have more than, I don't know. They don't have a lot of people. So that's definitely something I need to keep in mind for like touching on surrounding counties.
Yep.
But okay, yeah, no, I figure I'll just keep going over there and then like ask for the supervisors.
Yeah, and I know that that's probably the county that you want to be working in, but yeah, it might be also just good experience or good experimentation to go to those surrounding counties and maybe some of the bigger ones and see what that process looks like, see what that process is, and then go back to that smaller county. And now you have like a proof of concept and be like, hey, this is how I did it over there. Is that possible to do that here? Or maybe again, they're not even sure of what you're asking for, and they think that you're asking it differently than how they're perceiving it, something like that. So I would just maybe experiment with the surrounding counties as well and see if there's a system that they all kind of follow.
Okay, sweet. Now, I will. What do I say if they if they ask me what am I asking for? Like, why am I asking for it?
Yeah, look at what Lyre Amazing wrote on the side chats, as well as Vibol or Kevin.
Okay.
Basically, her pitch is that she's a student doing research for a paper, which is great.
Sweet.
Brilliant. Okay. And Kevin says, you don't tell him that you're a real estate investor. Tell him you're a tax-paying citizen doing personal research.
Okay. Yeah, tax-paying citizen.
Because they are public record. Okay, they are
Right.
supposed to give them
FOIA
to you.
request at that point.
Yeah.
And some of them, some of the people with lists and stuff, and I've encountered this with I just pull off tax records these days because I don't need to go nearly as niche as some of you guys.
Yeah, explain that to us, Paul. What exactly
some of
do you do?
guys?
Yeah. So all I'm doing is I'm all property tax data, at least in Texas, and I'm sure this is true for other states. All that public information, all your assessed tax information is publicly available, and usually pretty accessible. And so you can actually just pull a list of every property in the county and then filter that list based on the criteria, right? So like I have a particular criteria when I'm searching, I'm looking for X type of property with an assessed value of this dollar amount or greater because I'm trying to secure listings, right? And I don't want to waste my time on the baby listings.
Right.
And I'm particularly looking at land. So I filter out, does the property have an improvement on it? Because you have an assessed improved value, right? So I say, I want a $0 assessed improvement value. And then I start pulling my lists that way. It's all readily available. You can call the appraisal district and ask them how to go about it. And a lot of them just publicly have it available for download. You've got to sometimes be on your A game for programming and database stuff. They've gotten more complicated with it lately, or lazier with it, if however you want to see it. But yeah, I mean, the appraisal district and the city and the clerks and all those guys, especially for those small counties, like Matt was saying, those two ladies, the small county, like you can call those ladies and probably have a good 10-minute conversation with them about what you're trying to do and how you need stuff, and they will try and usually help you out if you come at them with the right energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bigger counties I have a lot of trouble with, like Dallas County is forever the bane of my existence, but these smaller rural counties that I target, way easier of a phone call, and they'll get back to me by email and all sorts of stuff. So really doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and call and speak to a human if you're trying to figure out what the best method is for data aggregation is.
Okay.
Yeah. You're on a smaller list of people trying to contact. Like that's one of the, I guess, if it's a double-edged sword, the good part about the smaller counties is you're on a smaller list of people trying to contact these people on a daily basis, looking for looking for information, looking for so yeah, like Phyllis is my girl at the water department at my 3-unit building. So like I would call in and like we knew each other's voices at a certain point where like she knew, like that's how small the town was, and that's how relatable, like they knew everybody, so they're like, oh, you own this building, you own this, like they just knew because there was only that many residents. And again, there's not a lot of people harassing them for county violation lists and water shutoff lists and all, because there's not really a lot of people trying to do that type of business there. So you do have that personal touch element with the smaller counties as well, where you can build rapport that way.
Okay, perfect. No, I appreciate that. I'm gonna get on that today. Just kind of reach out to them. I figure the best time to go over there is early in the morning too, so they're all
Get them while they're still in a good mood.
Right. Awesome. Y'all have a good one. I appreciate y'all.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Devin.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care. We got 65 people in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Please take advantage of this opportunity to introduce yourself to the 65 people, 66 and counting, that are in the audience. Use that side chat. Let people know where you are from, where you are doing business, and how you are doing business. So if you're a wholesaler, let people know that you wholesale. If you know how to structure deals creatively, let people know that. Let people know how they can collaborate with you.
How can people collaborate with you, John Johnson?
That's a great question, Mr. Matt Riley.
Once was Jonathan Johnson, now he's John Johnson.
Pretty soon he's going to be JJ.
Yeah, he's going to be Jay Johnson, and then the artist formerly known as.
Wow. The best way they can collaborate with me is bring me a lead that you have that you'd like me to pitch innovation for. Or if you have a deal that you need help with, say it's already under contract and you can't move it, bring it to me. Bring me those deals, if especially if they're in areas that have comps, but you just can't get a investor to buy it. Bring me your deals. Bring them to us. Bring us your deals. REIRev.com. We're going to get it set up. Matt, let me know if this is something that you want to do, because this is something that I'd like to implement, and you as well, Bob, especially you, brother. I'd like for people in the community to come to our website and say they have a situation with a seller that makes sense for seller finance. I'd like them to enter all of the lead information, PITI, 4 pillars, seller info, everything, and we see, is this something that we could structure terms on? And then we joint venture with the person that brings us that opportunity and break bread at closing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I just need to make sure that we qualify the leads that are brought to us first. And that goes by basically educating people on what to really look for. If the numbers make sense, then bring them over so we can help you get it across the finish line. Otherwise, we're going to inundate ourselves with a lot of quote unquote leads, and they're not leads,
I wonder if there's like a filter system that you could put in place on the website. It's almost like, in the post deals section, how you have criteria that people are supposed to follow when they post a deal. And each section, is this a JV? Yes. Is it a cash deal? Yes. Whatever it is. Almost like you could put filters in place when they're uploading the deal to REI Rev, where there's like 5 at least markers in the beginning where at least they have to answer. And if it's yes to all of these, then they can submit it. Is the population X or more? Yes. Okay. Boom. Is it this? Yes. Okay. Boom. And then once you hit those markers, now it's at least something that has passed that initial filtration system and is something that can be looked at instead of just, obviously uploading anything and everything. Because then you'll just get a lot of I don't know. You'll get a lot of crap. You'll get all that, $10,000 wholesale properties and burnt. You'll just get all the nonsense. And then, are those still possible deals? Sure, but like I said, I think there's got to be certain criteria in place. Otherwise, you're almost making. It's almost like you're giving yourself more work and working harder and getting less results because now you're filtering through so much. So if we can figure out a way to filter it out, I think that could be big.
100%.
Yeah.
Some of the things that come to mind, like when they upload the address, they also need to include at least one address that is comparable to the property that they're uploading. And I mean, if you can't give us one comp, you're not on the level where you're ready to even JV anyway. So, stuff like that to kind of be a filtration system, I think would be super beneficial.
Yeah, because I mean, also too, like, at the end of the day, JV agreement is a partnership between 2 parties, right? We're supposed to both be bringing value, and just because you typed in an address and then we did all the work and and we structured the deal and we made it into a deal, does that mean that so you got to do a little bit on your side as well? And if that's at least submitting one comp or at least going through this little process to earn the JV agreement and to earn the money that the thousands of dollars that's on the back end, then I think that's fair. And again, too, that also helps the new people. You're obviously submitting it because you don't have the experience yet, so going through that process allows you to slowly but surely understand. So if you submit a comp and it's wrong, now you understand why it was wrong, and now it'll only be beneficial at that point. So I definitely think it could be something that makes sense. And then I don't know. I think it'd be cool to even have like a marketplace almost.
Yeah.
Once the deals are submitted, underwritten, approved, structured, then having like a marketplace of properties, and then obviously updated as soon as they're under contract, as soon as they're assigned, all of that. But a marketplace of properties where people can go and shop creative.
Exactly. You see the vision, Mr. Matt Riley. He sees the vision.
So let me ask you both this question. What do you guys think is a fair split as far as JVs are concerned?
It depends. I'll answer this off the rip. It depends on how much the parties do. So if you just bring a lead, say we give you a list, like we give you everything, and all you do is pick up the phone, call, and pre-qualify people, you are lucky to get 20% in this industry for doing something like that. Industry standard is 10% for pre-qualifying and submitting leads. Okay? If you pre-qualify, negotiate, do everything with the seller, and you just pass the deal off to somebody else like me, I'm going to give you 50%. We're going to split it 50-50. We'll throw it on the market. Because I don't come out of pocket for marketing, and I don't spend any time to get the lead. You're bringing it to me. So it's not like I'm spending any resources. At that point, I'm just happy to share anything, we make. But if you're that party who's going to the seller and negotiating, and you're spending money marketing to get these deals, and somebody offers to bring you a buyer, I feel like that's also worth 50% of the deal, because without that party, the deal, nobody gets paid. So if you are a reason the deal goes through, that's where you earn the 50%. But if you are simply pitching opportunities or sharing leads, it's going to be closer to 20 to 25%. I feel of the deal is going to be fair, because you're not structuring any contracts. You're not doing anything besides picking up the phone or texting people and saying, hey, would you consider selling to me?
Yeah, I have a very similar structure. What about you, Matt?
You're muted, brother.
Did that. I'm eating my fruit cup over here. I don't want to be impolite. No, I feel like that makes the most sense. Again, it's like how much, even if you're not JVing, you're just in business for yourself, you're trying to make money. The more value you can bring to an environment, the more money, the more compensation you should be expected to receive from that. So it's like the open free market. The more value you bring to the market, in return, you should be receiving equal or greater compensation back. So if you're just, like he said, it's somebody that's just picking up a phone and having a 5 to 10 minute conversation off of all the other things that are being supplied to you, that compensation is likely going to be around 10% of an assignment or JV agreement. Rightfully so. This person has the knowledge, they have the systems, they have the data, they have all of the things, and you're just warming up that lead and then sending it back to this person to do all of the other things that it takes to close that deal. That's 10%, and that's great. Think of a $10,000 assignment. That's $1,000 for having a 5-minute phone call. I think that's pretty good. And then the more value you can bring additional to that, the more the compensation will increase. So now all of a sudden you have buyers for the deals you're warming it up and you already have a buyer for it. Now we're talking 25, 50%. Now we can have, the more you can bring to the table, the more compensation you should expect to receive. But if you're just starting out and you have no resources, you have no buyers, you have no list, you have no nothing, and someone is bringing you on, 10% is probably a realistic starting point.
And very fair.
Yeah. What if a guy goes and door knocks? Does he deserve more than someone who just picks up the phone, or should it be the same amount?
Door knocking, did I provide them? Did they go out and door knock on their own? And then whatever leads that they got from door knocking, they sent to me for me to work it? Or did I give them, even if they went out by their own, I just don't feel, door knocking is an actual physical process. Don't get me wrong. I
would say 25%. I would say 25%.
You got me in a little blunder there.
Yeah, no, that's not my goal, but door knocking is, to me, it's a little bit tougher than just picking up the phone and calling, and it's a lot more time consuming. With cold calling, especially if you got a dialer, you can go through hundreds of calls a day. Door knocking, you're lucky if you go through 20 to 30 a day. If you do that, you're doing phenomenal. Because you're not going door to door from one door to the next door. You're going from one place to another place in the same city.
Especially
So
like in a Texas in like an August or September where it's 150 degrees, like you're gonna die out there. So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
as long as the effort, because again, like you said, on a dialer, that person can get through 100 to 200 calls a day, maybe
Yeah.
more.
Mm-hmm.
So that we're churning out phone calls and possible conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as the effort of actually going door knocking provides the same results, if not more, then absolutely, like, because that's a physical effort. You're out there door knocking, you're getting told no to your face, you're going from house to house,
Yep.
neighborhood to neighborhood, you're driving, spending gas, time, all of that kind of stuff. So compensation should absolutely be increased. But we got to do some data and make sure that when you're out there and you're out there for that week or however long, that we're actually getting results. Because if not, we got to shift our priority here and what we're doing.
Yep. Yep.
But absolutely.
Cool. Mr. John Bonilla, how are you, sir? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure if actually this question was for Paul. I'm not sure if he's still listening. He was talking about the pulling the parcel data, but if you're listening, Paul, I was wondering how are you organizing that parcel data and tax data? Because I do the same thing, and I'm using Google Sheets, and it's a pain when you get that much data. It's like, especially entering formulas, I'm pulling data from different sources, and Google Sheets, it could take like 5 minutes just to filter data.
Paul is on.
Maybe-
I think he had a phone call this morning with
Yeah.
Wolfkin
Oh, you had a
7,
phone
the
call.
dialer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask him. I'll have to ask him some other time then.
Well, we'd love to hear
All
the
right.
answer, but if you need the answer right away, definitely reach out to him, DM him, and maybe tomorrow, if he's here, you can jump back up and ask that question again, so everybody else can benefit from the answers too.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on. Taylor, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. What you got
So-
going this Monday?
So I got a single family house in Goshen, Indiana, ARV 300K. It's in foreclosure. It's supposed to go to auction November 5th. The seller has combined mortgages and liens of 220K. Everything on the inside is in good condition, just outdated. The major appliances have all been updated in the last 5 years. I don't have any buyers out there at the moment. I have buyers that are close, so they might be interested. But I'm just wondering, like, what the process would be for maybe the situation where it's like a foreclosure, but probably would be looking more towards a novation as well, not just a simple wholesale transaction.
Oh, I'm
Well-
getting excited here. We're talking novations.
Yeah, well, but I mean, you've got a sale date of November 5th, which is about 33 days out, right?
Yeah.
So
The first question would be, is it even possible, right?
exactly. So is it possible? That depends on the lender. Yes, it is possible. Okay. So long as the lender is willing to give you that extension, the postponement. Okay. And the only way to know that is by contacting them and asking them. Okay. Telling them, hey, I'm putting the property on market and I'm getting a lot of action. We think we're going to get an offer in the next couple of weeks. They're going to need some time to close. Can we get a postponement on this? See what they say. If you go that route, the first thing they're going to tell you is, well, let's see if you even get an offer. Submit it to us so that we can see if it even's worthwhile for us to postpone it or not. Okay. Second route would be for you to just submit an offer to the lender, okay, and to be able to get that postponement. But since you're so far away, quote unquote, from the postponement date, they might not give it to you at this moment. So I would submit an offer like 2 weeks before November 5th. Does that make sense? To be able to get that postponement. In the meanwhile, you can still try to novate it.
Okay.
You said the
Another
ARV is
question.
what? 300?
Yeah, 300,
And they owe 230?
220.
220? What are the terms on it?
That I don't know. Are you asking for possible sub 2 type situation?
No possible. Definitely. Right?
Yeah, I don't know the terms on it. I know that
I mean, if it's a
mortgages and some medical lien.
3-4% interest rate, I'd definitely be more interested in doing a sub 2 on it. Right? If it's a 5.5%, 6%, 7%, yeah, novation. Okay. I mean, even at those higher numbers, interest rates, it's still possible depending on the monthly payments on it. But yeah, I would want to have all options open, Taylor, in any situation, not just in this particular situation. In any situation, you're going to see what options there are available and then rank them. What's your best option, second best, third best? Have a plan A, B, C. Okay. To be able to maneuver it properly. Okay. But Goshen is kind of a tiny city, I guess. But if you can do, I mean, it's how far away is it from South Bend? Because that's where Notre Dame looks like it is, right? I mean, on the map.
What's up? I think it's maybe 15, 20 minutes, but
okay. So would professors, from Notre Dame be open to purchasing a property over
there? No, it's
traveling
more like an hour.
Professors?
More like
it's an hour?
Yeah.
No. Then if it's an hour, no. But yeah, I mean, I like the novation idea. I definitely want to try to see, get more information as far as the mortgage statement is concerned. What kind of terms they have.
Well, I'm definitely. So I would definitely want to team up with somebody who has more capability for something like this, because I don't want to put her in a situation where I can't handle it, like I'm not capable of it of some sort.
Did you request some help there?
John just licked his lips excessively when you asked that.
Wipe the saliva off, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The last potential novation that came up, person who I was in contact with never responded back to me, so I didn't get a chance to do another one, a different one with it. So.
Well, that's so unfortunate. I'm so sorry to hear that they didn't respond to you, Taylor. But I can certainly help you. I'm sure Matt, do you do novations? Have you done that stuff? Is that kind of your forte?
No, but I was just off in La La Land thinking about, I don't do novations, but as of this morning, we're going to start reaching out to off market. And just for my own personal, what I want to start doing, like I said, purchasing, whether it's through sub 2 or seller finance. And then for my exit strategy, wrapping lease options, things like that, is having the ability not even to novate it, but to get the off-market properties. These are all going to be expired, so they're already low equity. Purchasing them, and then during that contract, we can do a nice long contract period, and then list it on the market for lease option or wrap buyers. Same way that I would try to do when it's on market, but it gets tricky because it's listed, and some MLSs don't allow it to be listed for rent and for sale at the same time, so it becomes tricky. And a lot of agents don't want to remove it from the MLS. So listing it for sale when they're off market, but not for sale, but for lease option or wrap exits for me. So that way I can lock them up. So that had me thinking that way. So
I like that though, because that is an opportunity for you to build a list of wrap buyers or lease option buyers in these different markets. So if this deal isn't the one for them, you now have a little database of people in that area that you can market other properties to.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually not bad either, because like you guys, like not you guys, but like in general, wholesalers, it's all about cash buyers, right? Like you get your cash buyers list. So you go on PropStream Batch, you go Zillow, you do your due diligence that way with cash buyers. It's very easy to find cash buyers, but creative buyers, it's a little bit different. Because obviously, let's just say that the deed might transfer, but there's no real sale. Maybe the deed didn't transfer because they did a land contract. Like it's a more difficult, I would say, to find a creative buyer. So like you said, that would be a good way. And now at a certain point, you might not even have to really list it on the MLS at a certain, like that's what I used to do with Section 8 is I would get so many, I would list one property for rent, and then I would get so many Section 8 applicants that at a certain point I didn't even need to market on the Section 8 platforms anymore because I had a database of 200 to 300 people from prior. So as soon as a unit was about to be ready for rent, I could just email blast out the people that have already applied in the past. And even if they applied 2 years ago, who cares? It's rental, so they're every couple years, whatever. So that's actually not a bad idea to gather up buyers in that sense. And then again, if they're looking for a lease option or wraps, maybe they're not qualified today, and there's a chance that they're not going to be qualified in 2 years from now if I'm doing it again because they haven't gotten their credit in a position or income or whatever it is. So yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, we get
So
good
that's where
ideas talking
my
about
brain
real
is.
estate in these types of rooms. You got to tune in though.
That's where
REIRev.com.
that's where my brain's at right now. Yeah.
So would either of you guys be interested in something like that then?
I'm gonna leave it up to Bob.
I would lean more on John and Bob in those novation scenarios.
Bob, if you want to work with Taylor on this one, by all means, brother, go for it. I actually just locked up another novation this morning. I woke up to the DocuSign contract sign email, so that was nice. It was a good way to wake up. So I'm working on stuff, but I can take on more. But I'd like for Bob to have the first dibs on this one.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to work with you, Taylor. Get me the information as far as the mortgages are concerned and the liens. Okay. Let's see what best options there are, whether it's a novation or a sub 2, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Did I already? Let's see. Are we friended already? Yes, we are. For some reason, I can't see your full name anymore. It just says B dot dot dot. Is that how it is for everyone else?
You're probably in streamer mode. You might have OBS open or something that's putting your Discord in streamer mode, so you got to turn that off in the settings.
Oh, okay.
See, that just went way above my head.
I was like, that is, if I'm in streamer mode, I'll never get, like, I just realized I'll never get out of it. I'm just.
How do I get out of streamer mode?
Thank God I can see Bob's full name, because if I couldn't, I would just chalk it up as like, oh, that'll just be B dot 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 forever.
All right. They don't want me in this community anymore. I'm out of here.
Oh, no, I
see
see
you
it.
later.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a
Anything
little button at the
foreclosure
top.
related, I would rely on Bob for sure.
I am not a streamer, so I don't know why I was in streamer mode.
John, is novation pretty much your? I see you now that you've this novation light bulb has gone off. I'm starting to see these locked up agreements left and right now. Is this kind of the? What do you think? What do you think that the change was from what you were doing before to now the novation light bulb? What do you think has been the reason that you are now locking up more contracts?
I think it's to do with the fact that I don't have imposter syndrome anymore. Number one.
You just think it's about you?
I believe so. I believe that it's a character thing. I believe that I've struggled and grinded enough to the point where it's like the universe sees that I'm very serious about this, and it's presenting opportunities. Like, people show up, people reach out. I receive phone calls out of the blue now just because of the network I've built up, the people that know me, that know how I can help them. And that's kind of where I'm at now. People are bringing me opportunities, and I hope that continues to scale. And I'm going to be making a course and releasing a course to everybody for free to show you how to get your next deal in the next 30 days. And over the next 30 days, I'm going to be making videos every day showing people how I get deals locked up. We're about to start a new campaign. It's so cool. I'm so in love with this because I just pulled the list. I just sent it over to the Easy REI team. And I'm just going to be step by step documenting over the next 30 days what I do every day to get a deal under contract and then get it sold. So if you guys are excited for that, drop some fire in the chat because this is something that I'm very, very excited for.
Who are you doing that with? Easy REI?
We got Easy REI, and we got the main man, Mr. Dan Fazio. He has a business in a box product that I just signed up for. And today is going to be our first day. We're going to be documenting just everything over the next 30 days to show the transformation from where I was at with my hustle that was turning into a business to my business, and we're gonna see what transpires over the next 90 days with the business in the box as well.
Sweet. Very nice.
Like, I actually signed up for this. This wasn't a free thing. We are reinvesting in our business to do this. So this is what it is. And we will be able to give you the rundown of the value and what we think of the product and everything. And I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to working with them.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Do you think there is a part, like some of the additional agreements that you've signed is due to the fact that with novations you can get the seller more money than with a traditional wholesale?
Yes. And I will tell you, the way that I pitch the novation is a no-brainer for the seller. It's a no-brainer. And so that's some secret sauce that I might have to keep close to the chest. We'll see what the chat wants. If they want me to talk about how I pitch novations and give all of this stuff away, they're going to have to get super loud and invite a bunch of people to come and join us. We would definitely have to hit over 200 in the audience for me to start talking about how I'm doing this kind of stuff.
Absolutely, and that's obviously well deserved. But I just feel like that was my early on light bulb, is like the wholesale thing just didn't really. I think it's a great thing to have in your pocket, of course. Pull it out. You got a bunch of, which of these things in my pocket can I use here that makes the most sense? Sometimes wholesale does, but I think if you're comparing apples to apples and you're pitching wholesale and novation, the idea that the seller can get more money, I feel like, is always going to win. And so I feel like you having the confidence, of course, is helpful. You having this pitch that seems to be working helps, which again is a no-brainer. You're not selling something. Whatever you're saying is probably true, and you're putting it in a way that makes the most sense to them. But at the end of the day, like I said, money talks. And if you're able to put more money in a seller's pocket and still have the same end result that they are looking for, I feel like that is always going to win. And that's why I liked creative so early on. Is in a market of wholesalers, I can provide more money, or I can provide a different resource that the other part of the market doesn't want to provide. So I think that is a large part of the success that you're seeing.
100%, Matt. And I will say this too, is on the creative side, you're solving specific problems. Like, for instance, this guy that just had a divorce, he can't afford to sell his house for what he needs to sell it for cash to walk away and break even. He's got to pay out the mortgage, and he also has to pay out the agent for listing it. Somebody like you can come in and offer a solution that these wholesalers making cash offers cannot make on on-market properties. And so you've got to get really creative, especially if you are going to be scraping on the MLS, because these homeowners are going to be getting the same 50% ARV offers, and it doesn't matter who's going to offer them that number. That's not going to solve their problem. And so that's why somebody like Matt and somebody like Bob gets the big bucks on these on-market deals, is because they know how to solve unique seller problems.
That's big bucks Bob down there.
Yeah.
That's big bucks Bob.
Big bucks
quantity, he's quality. That's big bucks Bob.
There we go.
But that's what I was saying. Like, providing, like when we were talking about JV agreements and things like that before, the more value you can bring to a scenario, the more experience, the more everything that you can bring, the more money you should be getting compensated for that. That's just how the market works. And so again, to me, in my biased opinion, I feel like wholesaling, the traditional wholesale cash offer, is complementing and helping probably the smallest portion of the market. It provides the least amount of help. Now, it again, there are people out there, and I don't want to discredit everything and everybody, because there is a portion of people out there that need a wholesale. They need to get out from under this thing yesterday. Like, I don't care. Get this thing away from me. I'll take a loss. I'm bleeding here. get me away from this property or these properties, whatever. I don't care. Like they will thank you at the end of a wholesale transaction. Like, thank you, even though you gave them 60 cents on the dollar. Thank you. You helped me. So I don't want to discredit it at all. Like I said, it's a tool in the tool pouch. It works for some people. There are people that I've offered more money to in a creative way, and they have flat out understood what I was offering and still was like, no, dude, I'd rather like get me out of this thing. I don't want to do that. I'd rather take the loss and be done. So, but at the end of the day, I feel like there are far more people who benefit from receiving more money, and B, would rather receive more money than a wholesale cash offer. Far more people that would rather that route than the wholesale route. And again, I'm not saying this for people to abandon wholesaling and abandon the wholesale tactics and everything else. Again, it's just being the best version of yourself and understanding a different thing. And don't be one of those people that only hammer one thing. Like, there are people even in the sub 2 community, they're not even doing any of the research, and they're just calling every on-market property and offering sub 2. They don't even know if there's a mortgage on it. They don't know that this person's got 90% equity. They are just hammering these people with sub 2 offers, and it just doesn't make any sense because it's the only thing they know. They just found out about sub 2. They think it's the greatest thing in the world, and they want to offer it to everybody. And then they act like they're doing them a favor. They're like, you don't understand the benefit that you could get from this. And it's like, you don't understand it because you didn't do any of your research before you called this person. And then you get mad when they say no, and you go post it in these groups. These agents are the worst. They don't understand. And it's like, no, you don't understand. So make sure that you again, learn what you can learn and just use it according to the situation. Not every situation is going to be a wholesale or a creative or innovation. Listen to what the person is saying and understand which of these things is going to be best for them. But I'd like to say that no matter what, that higher net to the seller is always going to win, whether it's creative, innovations, whatever it is, over a wholesale. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. So I'm not going to say anything. All right. So who has, in this 61 member audience, a question?
Well, before the next person gets on, Bob, is it possible that a lien has a bunch of terms on it, or it doesn't matter? Is it just the amount that you need to know?
What kind of lien is it?
She said it was medical.
A medical lien?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know who it's with and the amount, and to see if we can go and negotiate with them. Medical liens, you probably can. You have a good chance of reducing that amount at least. But yeah, no, on those there aren't terms like, okay, what's the interest rate or anything like that. It's just a set amount. So we just need to know who it's with and the amount.
Sounds good.
Yep, perfect.
As far as I know, medical liens are like the lowest on the totem pole, right? Like, isn't there like regulations in place that you can't force like bankruptcy or anything like that due to like medical?
No, that's correct.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know like student loans are the opposite, that they're like the only debt that you can't do, like they're stuck with you. You can, even if you file bankruptcy. And medical is on the other side of the spectrum, where like if you have $10,000 in medical debt, you can call and like negotiate that you'll pay $10 a month forever, and they can't like actually, they can't like
Force
do
you to
certain
do it,
things.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they can't like bankrupt you. They can't do anything.
That's why they're one of the easier ones to negotiate with, because they'd rather get something and move on than get nothing at all. You just need to make sure that you get that stamp of paid in full or lien satisfied on there, so that they don't come back after you.
I'm on medical insurance TikTok algorithm right now that I'm trying to, I don't know how I got on it, but I got like,
What do you mean?
I got like emergency room nurses on TikTok doing videos about how like obviously insurance is a scam and how they don't have insurance, and then they like are breaking down like obviously all the terrible things that they do, and then like almost telling you what you should do, or how, like when they go, like if you go to the emergency room, you don't even tell them that you have insurance. You don't even present any of that information until you receive the bill, because those two charges are two different charges. If you have insurance and you tell them you fill out your information, now they bill it to your insurance, and the bill is that much higher because they know it's going to the insurance first, because they're trying to get as much out of the insurance company.
Mhm.
And if they don't, then the bill is lower. And then once you get the bill, then you submit your insurance. I have no idea. Again, I'm not a doctor. I only play one on TV. So I have no idea, but I'm like stuck on this algorithm for the last couple of weeks. And when she got stung by those wasps and we were in the ER, I was trying to, like, I didn't have any service in there. So I was like trying to remember all the videos. And I was like, I don't know. Hold on. Don't give them your insurance card. Hold on. I think, and I was like, I'm going to tell her the wrong thing and we're going to get like a $50,000 bill out of nowhere. So we submitted the insurance, but I told myself I would figure it out. Medical, I think, is on the lowest of the totem pole when it comes to leads.
Yeah. There are companies out there that are like, they're not insurance companies, but they act like insurance companies, and they're excellent in my opinion. I personally don't like medical insurance. I think, for another day, but you know,
it's a scam.
Yeah. They make tons of money for, and they don't give you the right coverage either.
And it's all just a mystery. We went there and she's like, can you at least give us like an idea of like what the bill is going to be? And the guy was like, no, like not even remotely, which is crazy. Cause like at a dog vet, like whenever, at least the one in the city before we moved, we would go in there for something. And then they're like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they would come in the room with an estimate. They basically give you two options. Here's a sheet of paper and it has the two scenarios that we could do here. Here's option one. We could do this testing, this medicine, whatever. Your bill will be this. And then here's the second one. And then if we do this, your bill will be this. Which of the two would you like to do? So it's like, I already knew and the only problem with the vets is you have to pay that day. There's no like getting a bill in the mail later. And so you've got to pay right out of pocket. But at least I know there before you guys are doing the test and before you're doing it, what I'm going to be paying. At the ER, the guy was like, nah, I have no idea. And I was like, cool, man. Us either. Run it up. Run it up. Put it on my tab.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm going to easiest because even if it's less, they still make money because hospitals are kryptonite for insurance. They charge a lot. Yeah, exactly. So that's why they're so willing to reduce or like work out terms with you, because it's already been juiced up 10x.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they take 30 cents on the dollar, it's still a profit for them. That's your private clinic. And Dan, put it on the Amex. No more on the Amex, please.
I can't wait to
The
get
Amex.
Amex.
Amex is asking for a break. It's not like I just don't want you to think that anything changes when you get the Amex. Nothing about it will.
Something's got to change. My tax bracket's got to change.
Just make sure you can afford the $600 annual fee per Amex card. It is one of the highest that is out there for credit cards. Usually it's like $25 for a standard regular credit card. Amex is $600 per card, but nothing changes. Dude, whoever made that looks so real. It looks so real. I feel like we just watched something we weren't supposed to. That's how real it is. Good lordy. What's the deal on deal on that novation you just signed?
Great question. So someone from the community brought me a lead, and she had already like negotiated with the seller and everything. All I really had to do was explain to him the process, because I asked her if she had pitched Novation or if she had told the guy that she wanted to market the property, and she was like, "Nah, this guy's a little bit of like a rough seller. You know, he wants his price. You know, he's not open to any funny business." And so I got on the phone with the guy and I recorded it. I got a Loom video because I've been inspired by the king of Loom videos to start making Loom videos. And I get on the phone with the guy. We chop it up. We actually hit it off. This guy has a lot of the same interests that I do, and I've built really good rapport with the guy. And I think Taylor was in there for that. We were in the penthouse making that call, and you know he told me everything. Yeah, so and he was telling me all about like farms and how there are huge tax write-offs and pretty much how to like harvest nuts from the trees and that kind of stuff to make money. It was crazy, but we built great rapport, and I knew he was going to sign. I just told him, well, you know, I can't just divulge the pitch, but I told him my pitch, and he was totally cool with it. He didn't have any questions. He took his time. I said, "Hey man, no rush. We're looking to get the ball rolling on Monday, so whenever you get around to it, you know, feel free to just sign it, and we'll get everything set up." So Monday morning comes around. I wake up. It's like 10 a.m. I check my phone. New contract signed. Let's go. So in the span of the last 2 weeks, I've locked up 2 new properties, and so that's what I'm talking about when it comes to momentum. I feel like I'm finally breaking through, guys, because like it used to take me like 9 months to get my first one, 3 months to get the next one, and then now it's like if I can keep this up of getting a new property under contract, one contract per week, one new contract per week, this quarter is going to be dangerous.
Oh, by the way, welcome to quarter 4. Today is the first official business day of Q4.
Thank you.
Who's got their Q4 ready and locked in? And who's ready to just, you know, give up and move on?
Another thing is, while you are all answering Bob in the side chat, if you are a licensed agent, did you know that I can literally put money in your pocket for free just for literally giving me a referral? If you give me a referral to an agent that lists my property and I give them, say, 6%, you can get a percentage just by saying, "Hey, John, call this person." That's all you've got to do. And you are in proximity with so many people that are going to be potentially doing novations in the coming months. There's a lot of money to be made as an agent, so don't sleep on that. This has also made me kind of think about getting licensed just for referral commission. So this is interesting stuff. We'll see if this ends up in me getting licensed. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about the whole liability thing if I were to become licensed. So we'll see. But I definitely want to have somebody on my team in my LLC to have a license so that we can receive commission. I think that would be good.
Hey, do you know that I have my license?
No way, Bob. I would love to put money in your pocket.
I'd love to take your money and put it in my pocket.
But I feel I feel like the switch that took place was again you finding this new thing that is still providing value and it's still providing a resource to a seller, but it is allowing them to actually put more money in their pocket, and you still being I'm sure part of your pitch is you being transparent of what you plan on doing with that property and during that transaction and things like that. So again, it's not like you found a thing that you know it works out better for you, but you have to be like shady about it and not tell the truth about what you're doing or you know things like that. So I feel like it's a better solution for everybody. You're still making money, maybe even more money. They're making more money. You're transparent during the entire process. They know what's going to be happening. So I feel like that is the key to these new contracts that are, and again, the more you do it, of course, the more you know you'll define that pitch even more. You'll find little things to tweak here and there. So I feel like the success that you've seen just in the last couple of weeks with the contract will only improve now. And so again, I just feel like that's a large because you're not all of a sudden a newfound confident guy. It's not like this new, the big check that you just got all of a sudden created confident John Johnson. That was already here. We already witnessed you in Brazil hanging off your balcony, screaming and things like that, with pure confidence. So I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think, again, you found something, and you are, obviously confident, so that helps, but you found this thing that is actually providing value to somebody. So I think that's huge.
100%, and I'm blessed and I'm grateful to have been in proximity with the right people that could show me the ropes for this kind of stuff. This really all took place because I was in REI Rev, and I got around the right people that were doing stuff at a very high level, and they were nice enough to show me how to do the same thing. And it just goes to show, I really like Novations because everything is transparent. There's no confusion. You're not acting like the buyer. You don't have to act like the buyer. You are just telling them, hey, you're looking for this number. Okay, I understand. Listen, I can offer you X convenience, and this is what you'll net at closing. And I can't get into the pitch live. That's something that will definitely have to be exclusive because of the success rate with something like this. So just know that we are going to be continuing to give out as much sauce as possible, but there are levels to the game, and especially for people that haven't done a deal, this is not something that you want to concern yourself with at all. Go out and get a cash deal, comp some properties, understand, the foundation, the basic level, and then build up upon that. I did multiple cash deals before I started learning about Novations, and quite frankly, you need the experience from these other cash deals before you even start pitching Novations. So don't concern yourself too much, with how all that stuff works. Just try to squat up with people that have that experience you lack and gain it along the way by doing deals.
Yeah, true. And that's where it becomes tricky, is like as you understand more complicated structures, acquisition structures like Novations and Creative, it becomes tougher for us because there's a lot of brand new people to real estate as a whole, not just as to wholesaling, like I've mentioned before, like brand new to real estate as a whole. They've never purchased a property before themselves, even traditionally. They've never even been at a closing table. They've never done any of those things. They've never seen a purchase agreement before. They've never seen settlement statements, none of that. So once you start evolving your own business, it becomes tough because the best advice in those moments is what you just said. It's not for you right now, and it's just from an experience standpoint. But you get to that level by doing the simplest of transactions, which is those cash wholesale transactions. Anybody can pretty much do that, and in those times of doing those deals, you'll eventually run into a seller and then multiple sellers that a cash offer doesn't work for. And if you're doing your job appropriately, you'll uncover the reasons why it doesn't work for them. Don't just hear no and then hang up the phone and go to the next person. Try to uncover the reasons of why see what the reason is that it doesn't work for them, and then see if you have a potential solution for that, or learn from that. And then now, once you have a few closings under your belt, and you've been to the closing table, and you've been through a couple objections and a couple issues during closing that you've been able to handle and figure out, now you can evolve your own business, and you can understand a seller's mindset that doesn't want a cash offer and they want these other things. And now you have the ability to be able to help those people. But in the beginning, it's tough. It's tough for me too. Like on the creative side, people always want to, hey, sub two, and it's just like I just truly don't think that you're ready for that yet. And that's not a bad thing. It's just it's not a simple thing.
Right. And I think you hit it on the nail. It's not a simple thing, and you have to do the simple stuff to build that foundation so that you can understand more complex concepts. And that, that comes with the reps.
It comes like, even like my whole community is new construction, right? Like the day one person isn't building the house. They're not up on, building the rafters. They're not they're cleaning up the garbage on the side. You got to learn what a hammer is. You got to learn what a nail gun is. You got to learn the tools. You got to learn the business first. Before then, you got the shovel, you're cleaning up all the materials on the side, you're watching, you're observing, you're learning, and then eventually you get called up and you start framing, you start drywalling, you start doing all of those things. But you don't do that on day one. They're not putting you immediately to work because, again, somebody could get hurt, you could do it incorrectly. There's a lot of real world consequences that can take place by throwing an inexperienced person up on a construction site. So in the beginning, you got to learn, you got to get your reps in, you got to show up every single day, clean up the garbage on the job site, watching what these people do, shadowing these people, and then eventually you have enough experience to now where you're on the team and you're actually doing those things. So I think it's even like we always try to like isolate real estate like it's this its own individual thing, but the experience thing is a real world thing that happens everywhere else. You're just not looking at it that way anymore, but it's just one of the for your own benefit and for everyone else's benefit. When you start getting into innovations and creative and all of that, get your reps in. Always JV with somebody who has the experience first and foremost, and then eventually you can get into it on your own.
Dan Fazio about to make 100K in profit out the gate first ever. That's a mind bender. I can remember the first one.
Okay, profit out the gate first ever for Q4. Bob, I remember the first ever. Bob just no scoped you.
Didn't mean to.
He just no scoped you. Across the map, yeah.
Sorry,
Three,
bro.
two, one.
That was not my intention at all.
What's that map?
That just came out wrong.
What is that, Nuketown, where you could just as soon as it says go, you could just throw a grenade over the roof and sometimes get somebody? Face clan.
Hey, I wanted to mention something that John didn't mention. It's not sexy, but John had to be on the phone with that person, building rapport with that guy for what seemed like at least an hour. And he was talking about like pine trees and growing farms. And you could see sometimes the pain in John's eyes from some of the stuff. Some of the stuff was interesting, but like sometimes that's what it takes. Like he took forever on the phone. He just would not. He would not let John's time go. He wanted to have John's ear for that whole hour, and sometimes that's what it takes. It's not sexy, but that was good.
I appreciate
that's
you bringing that up because that's the real part of real estate, you know. And that's kind of the stuff that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. They only see the check, they only see the success, but they don't see the process that you have to go through to be in a position where you can make that kind of money. And so it is very important to understand that you've got to be in many cases, sometimes even like a therapist to people on the phone. And really you have to learn how to just be quiet and listen. And once you can master how to listen, active listening, that's when you'll listen. You'll find that you're actually being presented with opportunities. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Taylor.
Yeah, I think part of the process too is obviously you probably identified that this person had a realistic chance of signing with you, or that there was a potential outcome. Like some people will spend all day talking to one person, and some people just want to talk as well. So I think it's on you as well to understand the difference between building rapport and just listening to somebody who wants to talk. There are plenty of people out there that will just waste your time sitting on the phone telling you about X, Y, and Z, and you think you're building rapport, but this person's just bored wanting to talk. And then at the end of it, you're like, okay, so, and they're like, yeah, actually, and they change their mind or whatever the excuse is. So trying to identify the difference between building rapport with somebody and just listening to someone's problems that just wants to talk and waste your time, I think are two big things, because I've seen a couple people in here, and it's to no fault of their own, but it seems like every time that I would listen to a call of theirs, they're on the phone for like 45 minutes. And then only on the phone calls that I listen to, of course, at the end of each of those phone calls, it never turned into a deal. The person would just change. They were just like, yeah, give me a couple days to think about it. And that person was just a time waster. They don't understand the concept of your time. They don't understand that, your time is money, none of those things. So just know the difference. Try to identify as early as possible. Yeah, you and Wade, exactly. And Savion was a great receptor. Like I told him, like, there was a couple calls that I had heard from him, and then like I would jump in, he would start the call, and then I would jump out and jump back in. It was like 30 minutes later, and he was still on the call. And it's frustrating. You just spent 30 to 60 minutes on the phone with somebody just for them to blow you off, or so. Again, I gave him that feedback, and Savion took it, and I haven't heard a phone call like that since then. And now all he's been doing is locking up contracts. So it's fantastic.
And that's why I love this community so much, is like you can be in proximity with somebody like Matt, and Matt will say something that really is game. And if you just listen, to what a lot of these heavy hitters are saying, you can really implement all of these gems into your business. You can learn from their mistakes. Just like Savion came up and spoke about an issue that he was facing in his business this morning to start off the call. Everybody in here should be looking at that as an opportunity to say, hey, how is it that I can learn from the experience that Savion just went through, so that I don't find myself in his position in my business? That's how I want people to really think about these calls. We already spoke about listing the lease options and wraps on the MLS and building up a database. Like, there's so many different gems that we uncover here. If you're really actively listening and taking notes and paying attention, like, there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from these calls.
I've seen that notepad get busted out lately.
We be busting down on the notepad. We got some good notes. It's important. I'm trying to get a little whiteboard going.
No, but I think I think you've now found a new thing that is a better resource to sellers. But I don't know if it's a confidence thing for you, because like I said, confidence wasn't your issue, but I feel like you have now officially taken your mindset, I guess, to a different level. Because I've seen you now, like where I was just poking around, I saw you in the voice channels. You had your camera on. It looked like you were live looming. I see you out with your notepad now on different calls. I actually see you writing stuff down. So I feel like your mentality has changed.
Matt,
not to say that you're taking it more serious, but yeah.
It's that before, and I was talking to Dan about this, I think this was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. My mentality was in survival mode, Matt. I was wondering, whoa, like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to get enough money just to pay for next month? Like, how am I going to pay off my credit cards? I was maxed out on all my credit cards, like risking everything for this dream, Matt, in foreign countries, like learning languages, doing a lot of stuff. And so my mind was so preoccupied with survival mode. Like, I got to get to my next deal, got to hustle to make sure that I don't die. Because, like, death is a very real possibility. If you're maxing out, max risk on everything, you have to make this a possibility. I'm risking my life. And so in that time, I was very focused on what is it, the money making activities that I have to do right now so that I can get to my next check. But having received a huge check, it has completely like changed my mentality from having to stress and worry about whether or not I'm going to be alive next month to how is it that I can make more of an impact and also creatively solve problems. Like, I've been able to refocus my attention on Discord. I'm coming out with this course. We're going to do the 30-day step-by-step for people. It's put me in a different mentality. And like, it also, when I'm on the phone with people, and dude, I can go deep into this now. And look, I don't want to come off as pretentious, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to just speak the truth, and I'm going to speak my truth. Now that I have money, I have so much leverage. Now I can say, yeah, this isn't a deal. I'm not going to spend my time trying to make this a deal, because I don't need this to be a deal, because I'm not going to die. So it's put me in a completely different headspace. I can look at things a little bit more objectively now because I'm financially secure. So I wish and I pray that everybody in here be in the same position, that they all be also financially secure so that they can make decisions not out of scarcity, not out of worrying like, hey, am I going to be able to live or provide for my family next month? Because when you can get to a position where that's not the motivating factor behind the decisions that you're making, you can ultimately make better decisions. So I've been able to make some better decisions, and I can focus on taking notes and really absorbing the game and just being present. because I'm not worried about whether or not I'm going to die next month.
Right. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle, or they don't do the right thing, where they get a big check and then they get lazy and they think like, oh, well, that's why I just worked as hard as I did for these months. And so now I'm going to go do everything that I wanted to do during those months. I'm going to go party. I'm going to go whatever. And then all of a sudden, that feeling of security is great for that short time period. That, it's great. I'm secure now. I can pay my bills for months now and I'm good. And then eventually, though, time catches everybody. And if you weren't doing the right things after that closing and with that check, now you're right back in the same scenario again. And now you're chasing. You're like the guy, you'd be like the guy that all of a sudden went from making $50,000 a year to 100, now from 100 to 300. And every single time that he bumped up, he increased his lifestyle to match that, so now he's chasing. He needs to make $300,000 a year, otherwise he's going to die. And then he makes 500, and then he increases, and now he's going to make five. So it's like doing the right things, to taking that next step every single time in that process, so you never have to have that feeling again. And thankfully you hit a big check due to hard work, determination, all of those things. And so if you continue that path, you'll never have to have that feeling again. So I think that's huge. And again, you easily could have gotten that check and got lazy and went out and did whatever, but you actually did the opposite. You showed up. Now you're showing up with notepads every day. I see you in the channels, like I said, doing the live looms. It seems like that it's motivated you, because now you actually physically saw a product of, all the hard work and all the things that you did. So I think that's great.
I appreciate that. It is definitely the physical manifestation of the metaphysical work, all of the hours put in, and we're just getting started is the thing. And I'm trust me, you can ask anybody. You can ask Dan Savion, anybody in the channels you see me talking. Like, I am not the type to want to spend a lot of money. I am cool, I'm trying to make more money. And since I've gotten that 70K check, I've already assigned another deal to make 16K. Both me and the acquisition partner on this deal will make 16K. This is a $32,000 spread for another deal, and the ball is just continuing to roll. I'm not changing. I'm not going to up my lifestyle. Even though I'm in Miami, I'm the same me that I was everywhere else, and that's just the way it's going to continue to be. I'm going to continue to hustle. I'm going to continue to put in the work, and I'm going to continue to show up day in and day out because I really want this, and I'm going to work for it.
100. It's funny that you could sit there with those glasses on and say, I'm the same me, because you really are the same. Like, you were still wearing those glasses even prior. Like, if I showed up with those glasses tomorrow and I'm like, I'm the same me, you guys are like, no, you're not. Something happened. So you are, that is not you. But the fact that you could, you show up with like the gold chain sometimes and those glasses, you're like, I'm the same me. It's funny because when you drop like old photos from 3 years ago.
I always had the iced out rollie, I was always that guy. Before I had the money, I had the vision, and now I've got the money, and the vision ain't gonna change. It's gonna be the same.
Yeah, depends on. Yeah, Dan's got it right. Depends on your outfit. This is like your professional. You got the button up to the neck. This is like, I'm dropping a course soon. I got, and then there's times where you show up with that blazer and the gold chain. Sometimes you hit him with the Cuban hat, and that's a different John. That's a different John.
Yeah, that's a pimpin' John.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That's back alley, John. Dan was saying, yeah, I'm gonna show up with the poosh iced tea. Once I get the poosh iced tea, it's gonna be game over.
Dan's got to build a coat rack and a hat rack at the front door for John and all of his newly acquired top hats.
When I die, I'll die a legend. Amen. That trick right there, that took me years to get. That did not happen overnight. I battled that trick for 2 years.
Look at that kid.
Right?
It's crazy too, like, no, I don't mean to cut you off, but like when you posted that one pic, I don't know which picture it was. I think it was your Jonathan Johnson and I was like, dude, how old? Like, when was that? I thought that was, you looked so young in that picture. And I was like, when was that? You're like, that was like 13 months ago. And I was like, wait a second, what? And that's what's crazy is like, he's so young. Like most people in here are so young. And so it's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to see, again, I couldn't imagine doing what you guys are doing and, at that age and having the responsibilities. I mean, I had my responsibilities, of course, but like just being at the level of real estate and access to all this. Cause like I said, just in a 12-month span, you look like a completely different person. And that's what shows like how young you still are.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm just blessed,
Savion
man.
too. Savion's gonna have I know because how old Savion? 20? Not
I
even?
can already see
No.
Savion's transformation. He's doing what he needs to do. He's in the gym, and it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be insane.
Xander's 18, but he looks 40, so I don't know if that'll change much in the next year or two. But yeah, man,
Or
it's just
20.
crazy. Yeah, dude, he sent me a picture. I was like, who is that? Is that your
Is that your
uncle? Who's that
dad?
guy? Yeah, I thought it was his uncle. But yeah, like I said, I think it's crazy, but I think it's good. Yeah, Savion, for real. For real. He sent me a picture. He's like, this is what I was doing 6 months ago. He was working a warehouse job as like a forklift operator, and he was sitting on the forklift in the photo with like a hoodie on. And I was like, dude, if I showed up to that job, I'd be like, oh, I'm checking in with this guy, right? This is the guy, this is the boss. And they'd be like, no, that's 18-year-old Xander. He just started here. I'm like, all right. But yeah, man, it's awesome to see everybody's success in the community,
Yeah,
of course, and see people doing
definitely.
whatever. But I absolutely love, again, seeing is your type of confidence and your type, it is probably one of your strongest suits to have that just like natural born confidence, no matter if it's a high or low. I'm going to have this confidence, but I feel like that's also something that can um, be a detriment as well. Like I said, you could easily be the person to get a big check like that, and now you got to go show everybody. You got to go flex. You got to go do. You have to
Well, I'll tell
maintain
you,
that
Matt.
ultra level of confidence.
I'll tell you, when I did cash out that check, I did start, acting out of my character a little bit. I started to really like flex and just do like insecure shit. But it was more like a huge achievement for me. Like I kind of wanted to really be like, I don't know, I wanted to really make that a memorable moment. And so, I was posting a lot of stuff and, acting a little bit out of my character, but I got it back together. I had a real long conversation and sincere conversation with my good friend Dan, and it's just like, I had to reevaluate some things and make sure that I stayed, true with who I am before and after the money hits my account. Cause like it doesn't, money doesn't make you or break you. It just makes you more of who you are. So I want to continue to be a good guy, not a nice guy, but a good man. That's what I want to be. I want to be a good man.
Yeah, I
So
think
Dan put you in your place. He woke you up, really, is what he did.
he gave him a
Yeah.
timeout, sent him to his room.
Well, he just put the mirror in my face and he was like, "Look, man, is this really like, is
Awesome.
this really what you wanna do?" And after reevaluating and just kind of seeing like some of the stuff I was up to, was just like, no, I don't think that'd be the best thing for me to do. So we
I think
improved.
it's like
He
anything
did
else,
you a
right?
solid.
Yeah, and again, that like whatever you spent, like whatever you were about to spend by getting that advice saved you that plus all the stupid shit you probably would have done in the future as well. And it's tough, man, when you don't come from a lifestyle like that, or you haven't seen it before, and you know even with Dan, maybe not even coming from that, but just being in that lifestyle for however many years he's been there and immersed. So it's very easy for a guy like you and anybody else here that hasn't come from that. And it's very easy to get immersed in that lifestyle and try to like keep up with the Joneses. Like there was an area back in Illinois that we were considering moving to. And I remember looking it up and seeing like whatever. And there was people in there that was like, if you don't make $2 million a year, don't move here. And we're not saying that in a way of like, don't move here because you make less than us. It's like, you won't have a good time here. You'll be you'll make yourself broke trying to keep up with everybody. And there's a lot of people in this world that would try to move there, that are just trying to move there so they could say they live there, and they're broke every single month, but they can at least say that they live there. So I think it's a huge testament to him sitting you down, and that saved you, like I said, how much money you would have spent plus all the future money as well.
Absolutely. And it just goes to show power of community and being in proximity with the right people. Dan is a professional. He's scaled multiple businesses past 6 figures. And, I take what he has to say very serious, as I take everybody up here, very serious. Every closer very serious. And, I'm just blessed, and I'm grateful to be in proximity with the right people that are really helping, to shape me into the person that, I'm destined to become.
Becoming Jay Johnson.
Becoming JJ. Triple J.
Every step of the way.
Triple J.
What's that movie?
Triple J.
Dan, what's that movie? What's that movie with where they adopted? It was that Sandra Bullock movie where they adopted
Blindsided or Blindside?
Yeah. Dan said, imagine seeing John walk around with me and my girlfriend. People would be like, you sure he's not adopted? It'd be like the parents in Blindside. It's just big, tall John walking next to him. And they're like, are you sure? Like, yeah, that's my son. Uh-huh. Oh, that's funny, man.
Hey, man, it's almost 10:15 my time. You guys have a lot of time on your hands, but I got to go and do a little work, or else I don't know how else I'm going to afford my wife some shoes and my kids some food. So
John's really gonna have to start putting money in your pocket then.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, start off with
Bob,
Taylor
did you
and
want to
that
stay
first
for the
deal.
other situation I wanted to present?
What's that?
Did you want to stay for the other situation I wanted to present?
Sure, go ahead.
So this one's more in like the infant stages. It was a door knock. The guy was older. He definitely wants to get out of the house. It's in bad shape, and he doesn't have the capability of like restoring it. It's in probate. He's trying right now to get ownership of it. His mom had passed, and I'm still like trying to figure out whether or not he's more motivated to just be able to have his 7 cats, or if he wants to live somewhere that isn't going to get him sick from possible mold and stuff. But I don't know. I've never been in a situation to help somebody find a different place to live and help them through probate.
So does he have like a probate attorney, or is he trying to do it himself?
Yeah, he's got a probate attorney.
Okay. All right. And what does the probate attorney say? How long before he actually has the right to sell?
He didn't know. He was currently, at this moment, he's still waiting back on a response from the attorney. He already paid a certain amount of money. I think he said he already paid like $4,000 toward it, but it's not in his name still yet. And his brother, I think, has interest in the property too. So that complicates things a little bit. And I offered to get
Definitely.
on the phone with the both of them to see what they both wanted to do with it. He said he'd be interested, but I was just wondering, is that worth trying to take on? Like, there's other people that offered to pay for the house, but they're not trying to help him like find another place or anything like that.
So the harder a situation, the more complex a situation, the less competition, the higher the reward in general.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you want to help him out, if you want to help him find, I mean, exactly, you gotta figure out what his issues are. If he's got 7 cats and he wants to keep his 7 cats, he's gonna have a major issue trying to find a place, right? So, trying to help him with that is definitely going to help. Okay, and it's definitely going to put you in the right place. But first thing is, you need to make sure that he's the actual executor or the actual person with the rights to sell the property. If if the brother is going to contest that, or if he is going to become the actual executor, you'd be wasting your time. I mean, it'd be a nice, decent thing to do as a human being to try to help him, but it's not going to help you as far as the transaction is concerned. So you need to find what's going on with it. Okay. So
Yep.
I would continue to try to help him, but at the same time, finding out, who the actual person is who's going to be able to sell the property, him or the brother. And I think it's a great idea for you to try to put them together and try to come to some sort of a resolution between them. If they can do that, if you can do that, fantastic. Then you put it under contract right away so that they don't get it to someone else.
Sounds good.
Yep. That's what I would do.
All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks for sticking around.
You got it. Now I'm going to jump off. Ladies and gents, it was a pleasure being with you guys. I don't know if Matt and John are going to stick around, but I'm going to take off. I hope everyone has a great Monday, great start to your Q4, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please consider inviting somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us. Send them that link, reirev.com or discord.gg/reirev. Remember, this is the most valuable real estate community in existence, and it is a blessing and opportunity to be in proximity with you all.